I'm sorry, Claire, if you can check the waiting room, I believe Mr. Hanson may be waiting for us.
You are now live.
Thank you, sir. All right, well, good afternoon. My name is Joan Wadiska. I'm the chair of the College Partnership Laboratory School Standing Committee, and I want to welcome you all to the June meeting of the Standing Committee. I now call us to order. I'd like to note that the Standing Committee is holding an all-virtual public meeting in accordance with Section 2.2, 3708.3 of the Code of Virginia, and the all-virtual public meeting policy that was adopted by the Virginia State Board of Education on December 12th, 2023. And thank you, all of you, for taking the time to participate in our virtual meeting today. And hopefully this format will afford everyone an easier opportunity to participate in the meeting, as well as reduce your time and travel expenses therein. So at this time, Dr. Armstrong, would you be so kind as to please call the roll of the members of the Standing Committee to establish quorum?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Hanson, I believe, is on the way. Mr. Rotherham? Vice Chair, Dr. Moran?
Here.
And Chair Wadiska?
Present. Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. The members of the Standing Committee were provided an amended agenda in advance of the meeting. Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. The chair votes aye as well. Any opposed, please indicate by stating nay. The motion is approved 3-0, and now we proceed with our agenda. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented to the Standing Committee?
Motion to approve the minutes.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Dr. Moran, did we log your vote?
Aye.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, the motion, the minutes are approved. Thank you so much. At this time, we are going to go to public comment on agenda items. I understand from Dr. Armstrong that we don't have public comment on any of our agenda items. So we're just speeding along in this meeting today. We're going to roll right into item A, which I see many happy faces excited to engage in that item. This will be first and final review of the College Partnership Laboratory School application from Norfolk State University. The committee will hear from Dr. Wallace and Dr. Nicholas from Norfolk State University, followed by a staff report from Dr. Armstrong. Dr. Wallace and Dr. Nicholas will have up to 10 minutes, I believe, to make a formal presentation to the committee, after which time, typically what the committee does is we invite any of your supporters, anyone that's a partner in your application, if they so desire, to address the committee at that time. Then we go to Dr. Armstrong for his report, and then we come back for questions. So just so that everyone kind of has a sense of what to expect, we'll hear the official report first from Norfolk State. We'll hear from all your supporters that are on with us today. Then we'll go to Dr. Armstrong, and then we'll do questions from the committee. All right. With that, Dr. Wallace and Dr. Nicholas, we're going to turn the meeting over to you. And if you need any assistance from Claire or our comms team to get your slide deck up for the committee to view, please don't hesitate to ask. It's always a little tricky, but so far we've been able to navigate those waters pretty well. And we have two folks here to help me today. So thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Wallace and Dr. Nicholas.
And I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I just do want to recognize that Mr. Hanson has entered the call as well.
Thank you, sir.
So Dr. Nicholson will be getting us started with our presentation. We thank everyone for coming.
Good afternoon to Madam Chair. Thank you for this opportunity to present the Young Scholars Academy Lab School proposal. And special thank you to Dr. Armstrong and his team for your insight and assistance as we have moved through this process. And so our team consists of colleagues from Norfolk State University, Portsmouth Public Schools, and Norfolk Public Schools. Our work in the Hampton Roads area is centered around providing high-quality education for our students. We all believe that preparing early learners beginning in pre-K 3 lays the foundation for their scholastic achievement and future rigorous academic pursuits. The impact of this preparation among traditionally marginalized populations is most noticeable as early learners need more support from their families. Additionally, these students are underrepresented in gifted education programs. And so we believe that if students receive high quality instruction supporting their innate curiosity, that by the time they are in grade 2, they are better prepared for gifted screening. The Young Scholars Academy Lab School will be a lab school in 3 locations: the NSU Preschool Academy here on the campus of Norfolk State University, Parkview Elementary School in Portsmouth, and an elementary school to be determined in Norfolk Public Schools. And so we bring before you thinking about why this idea? So we propose an innovative model to enhance early literacy skills by integrating knowledge of science, technology, arts, engineering, and mathematics, known as STEAM. We want to encourage the pursuits of curiosity through critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and to promote connections between STEAM and the real world. We realize that the Virginia Literacy Act requires that every student in kindergarten to grade 5 will receive core literacy instruction based in scientifically based reading research and evidence-based literacy instruction. So this is the heart of this proposal, making sure that our students receive that type of literacy instruction. Our goal is here to provide early learners with the foundational literacy skills necessary to engage in classroom instruction, to teach critical thinking skills by utilizing STEAM curriculum as the basis access to gifted education, and to engage families as partners by providing them with tools to support early learners at home. So our mission is to nurture a passion for reading in science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. We realize that students cannot go any further if they don't have that foundation. And then we want to address the needs of underserved and low socioeconomic populations by emphasizing early literacy through STEAM exposure. In our area, we have more than 16% of students who live in poverty. And so we want to make sure that those students too also receive the services so that their innate abilities can also be recognized. And then we want to stimulate each child's ability to critically think through experiential learning. And of course, we know that the research is most important through our collaboration process, because we want to make sure that there is developmentally appropriate and culturally relevant instruction delivery practices that we can share with other colleagues across the Commonwealth of Virginia. And the vision of the Young Scholars Academy is to embrace the curiosity of young learners and foster a love of reading, learning, exploration, and collaboration to the STEAM fields. The Young Scholars Academy instructional focus is to support literacy, as we said earlier, to focus on the integration of STEAM into the classroom instruction, incorporate learning centers and experiential learning for real-world connections. But we also have this concept of we prepare teacher educators, and we want to make sure that our teacher education candidates have a space to explore how learning occurs and how learners construct knowledge and acquire skills. We've been able to have successful teachers go into the field because of our relationships with Portsmouth Public School and Norfolk Public Schools, because they help us to develop our teacher education students to become teachers. And we want to make sure these future educators have the understanding of scholarship, because we want them to know that they have to make sure that their job is to create a positive learning climate of openness and mutual respect, support, and inquiry for all students. And so as we look at the actual focus, we also take a very good, thinking deeply about how this works. And the instructional focus is STEAM. We want to support literacy instruction to promote a natural curiosity. We want students to be able to see the world around them, and we want it to work for them. And we want to also make sure that they have beyond minimal competency, right? We want to encourage young scholars to pursue real-world connections. And we know that the outcome will be that we are looking at students who actually can make connections in inquiry, problem solving, and process-based learning by looking at the models. And so the instructional focus, right? As the curriculum is developed by teachers who will incorporate the core skills from Streaming 3, because we'll use that as the basis for our pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 students, as we have done in the NSU Preschool Academy, that will continue for pre-K through pre-K 4. But then thinking also how this can actually come together, looking at core skills and the Virginia's 5 Cs, as well as the Young Scholars curriculum that will be developed by our partnering teachers who are highly qualified. And they will build upon lessons in the science of reading that they have already been practicing and putting together in their school districts. And so here's a day, a sample schedule in the life of a Young Scholar Academy student. You will notice that it has a high literacy concentration because we want to make sure that the basis of their entire day is reading. And then you will see how the other subjects flow throughout the day so that students are getting that connection in STEAM and making sure that that integration is happening organically in the classroom as they're being challenged in ways that make them better learners and prepared with a great foundation. And so when we look at the Streaming 3, because this will be an actual foundation in pre-K 3 through pre-K 4, as you all know, this was created by University of Virginia, and it already aligns to the VDOE standards, including the Virginia Kindergarten Readiness Program, the Virginia's Early Learning and Development Standards, as well as the Virginia Quality Birth to 5 system. And the assessments that are in that particular program allow us to look at instruction so that our students are monitored throughout the process, as well as instruction that's created to give them the needed helps that they'll need to continue and to be strong in this particular pursuit. And so at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Wallace Alexander, who will move forward with our partners.
So we are so blessed and pleased that we have current partners and potential partners that allow us to engage in this STEAM concept. This has long been a concept here at Norfolk State University in which we are tapping into what is available around us. We are strongly supported by our university, particularly with our NSU cybersecurity complex and the plethora of programs that we have that do address STEAM. Not to mention the fact that we have a renowned award-winning theater program here at Norfolk State University that our students can also be engaged in. But we have the benefit of location. Location means everything. And we have looked at several entities that have programs that tap into young learners' curiosity, such as the Virginia Living Museum, the Virginia Air and Space Center, the Hurrah Players, and the Virginia Aquarium, and the Children's Museum of Virginia, which is located in Portsmouth. These are important because our curriculum that we are continuously developing is connected easily to a lot of the curriculum that they have already had, and our students continue to experience throughout their compulsory education. Next slide. Okay. We find that our impact, one of the big purposes of a lab school is what works in education and identifying that for our pre-service teachers. This impact from pre-K all the way through 2nd grade allows us to not only connect their content knowledge and increase their ongoing field experience so that they are ready day one when they enter the classroom to provide instructional delivery methods, utilize enhanced assessment skills, and have classroom management techniques that meet the needs of all learners. This continuous engagement and action research is to maximize learner success so that they can not only offer whole group instruction, but small group and individualized instruction that allows students to grow and foster their literacy skills. This strong foundation of literacy enables them to not only embrace their love and curiosity of STEAM, but it also provides them with better access to gifted education that they will be screened for by the time they reach 2nd grade. We are looking at projected enrollments across our 3 campuses as we gradually fold in students each and every year, beginning with 30 students across the 3 campuses and moving by year 4 up to 120 students. As you can see, our budget requests 1.2 million in support. If you look at our budget, you will notice that we have incorporated so many components that are necessary for the success of our students. If you want your students to be literate and you want them to have this strong foundation, we have recognized that in underserved populations, adequate supports and routine screening is necessary in order to provide the individualized instruction, whole group, and small group instruction that is needed to support our young learners and to increase their probability of being able to be critical thinkers and problem solvers. Because we identified that we are looking at 4 years of support, we have already planned for how we will continue to sustain this endeavor. This endeavor is extremely important to us, and for the past 10 years, we have been looking at the importance of this strong foundation in order to increase access not only to the STEM fields, but gifted education, and to just make our students more fruitful as they become citizens, grown-up citizens in our environment. We will continue to look at the existing funds that we have here that are supported by Norfolk State University already through our preschool academy, as well as reallocated funds from our partners at Portsmouth Public Schools, as well as Norfolk. We are one of the areas that we're also looking at is grants, which we are strongly supported by individuals who help us seek grants to support our endeavors. And we are happy to say that partnerships and donors are recognizing the need for this early interventions, the need for young scholars to be able to experience a very strong early elementary education that will enable them to have academic success throughout the 12th grade and beyond. And so we thank you for engaging in this overview of our Young Scholars Academy, this lab school partnership with Norfolk State University, Portsmouth Public Schools, and Norfolk Public Schools.
Thank you for that excellent presentation. At this time, I'm going to invite any of your supporters or partners or potential partners who might like to address the committee to do so at this time. For those of you who might be interested in addressing the committee, the way that we have normally done this is if you state your name, the organization you're with, and share your thoughts, remarks, views that you'd like the committee to know, and obviously how you might be a partner or may be a partner with the applicant. That's helpful for us as well. So Dr. Wallace or Dr. Nicholas, if you would like to organize your supporters, or if you have a way that you'd like organically or plan to do so, I certainly would defer to you.
I think Dr. Nicholas is doing something.
Well, I saw Dr. Birdsong, the superintendent for Norfolk Public Schools, come off mute first. So I will start with her and then I will go to the chairman
Here,
of.
turn it up. Thank you.
Ms. Butler.
Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize. We're having some technical difficulties here, so I'm in the room with 2 of my colleagues. I appreciate the opportunity to address the committee. We are elated with the potential of partnering with Norfolk State University and Portsmouth Public Schools on our Young Scholars Academy. We look forward to working with Norfolk State. We have done so for many, many years, and we're just very excited about the option or the opportunity to expand our literacy initiatives. And what better way to do that than to focus on our young learners? So we are certainly appreciative of this opportunity, and I would just like you to know that certainly from the leadership, we fully support moving forward. So thank you again.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. James Poole. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Norfolk Public Schools, and I'd like to echo what Dr. Birdsong said and just add a couple things. It really aligns well to, in Norfolk, we have an Emerging Scholars Program for our students to help identify and pull their giftedness out and up for the younger ages if they don't make the qualifying scores and become gifted in the first grade round of assessments. So this matches really well with the work we're doing there, as well as with the early literacy Additionally, starting next year with our ninth graders at Booker T. Washington High School, we're initiating a STEAM program there. So just connecting all this work we're doing, it was like this fell in our lap at the right time to really help emphasize what we've been doing for the past few years for literacy and STEAM and our giftedness. It just is a great connection, and I'm looking forward to supporting this on the academic realm with our coordinators and specialists as well as our early learning Title I program to see what we can do to make it flourish.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nicole DeVries. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Portsmouth Public Schools. I don't have much to add because, like Norfolk, we also have an early scholars program. So we saw the benefit in that and being able to really target those students who we know have the ability, just haven't had the opportunity. We are heavily focused on our early literacy, especially, and thinking about the alignment to the programs we already have in place, and also the continued reciprocal partnership between Norfolk State and Portsmouth schools. We, see the value in continuing that. It also provides us with a pipeline for applicants, as well as a pipeline for developing highly qualified teachers and increasing their expertise, because we know when they have an increase in confidence and professional efficacy that their classroom practices become better as well. So we are supportive of this endeavor and look forward to the partnership. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Cardio Patillo. I'm the board chair for Portsmouth City School Board. I'd like to first say thank you to the committee for the opportunity to participate during today's presentation. As stated many times by Dr. Lisa Coons, our state superintendent, literacy is our greatest civil right. And it's encouraging to know that everyone on this call has the same shared vision, which is to create an educational environment that not only fosters academic excellence, but also cultivates a spirit of inquiry and a passion of lifelong learning. As a school board, it is our sincere belief that by bringing together these resources, expertise, and enthusiasm of our educational institutions, we are poised to transform this vision into reality. So I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the staff of Norfolk State University, Portsmouth Public Schools, and Norfolk Public Schools, who have worked tirelessly to make this partnership a reality. Their dedication, vision, and hard work are the foundation from which we will build a brighter future for Virginia's students. It is our hope that we're able to move forward with this wonderful opportunity, and that the strength of this partnership will further display our shared commitment to excellence, innovation, and collaboration. Together, we will create an educational environment that will not only meet the needs of Virginia students today, but also prepare them to thrive in the ever-changing world of tomorrow. Thank you again so much for your time.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Aurelia Williams, the Senior Vice Provost here at Norfolk State University. And I just want to take a moment to add to what everyone else has said, is this is indeed a unique opportunity for Norfolk State University in partnership with both Portsmouth Public School and Norfolk Public Schools. And we look to the opportunity of really impacting our community and providing resources for our students so that they can get identified as early as K3 and K4, as obtaining schools that will allow them to move into gifted curriculum that is already established within our school partners. For Norfolk State University, the ability to modify, elevate our existing preschool, this was the prime opportunity for us to leverage the resources that have been developed throughout the state of Virginia and to work with our community partners to make a difference. So we are excited to be here, glad to have submitted our application, and look forward to a favorable response. Thank you.
Dr. Wallace, Dr. Nicholson, should we expect any additional speakers regarding your application?
I think we left it open just in case if anyone else wanted to
Okay.
say anything. Ms. Buffalo, would you like to add in your role as the chair? And Dr. Bracy, please feel free, sir. Yes.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Just going to echo what everyone else has said. I think this is a great opportunity for Portsmouth Public Schools and Norfolk Public Schools, along with Norfolk State, partner with Norfolk State in this endeavor. I support the application wholeheartedly, and on behalf of the school board of Norfolk Public Schools, we are delighted and cannot wait to see the outcomes of this partnership with Norfolk State University. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Eli Bracy, Superintendent, Portsmouth Public Schools. I guess, look, everything has been said. I echo what my colleague, Dr. Birdsong, has shared. Yeah, we look forward to this opportunity. I want to thank Norfolk State University for allowing us the opportunity to be a part of this. We definitely see a significant benefit that will be afforded to our students and our staff in that regard. So we just look forward to the opportunity, and hopefully this receives positive feedback so that we can proceed. Thank you.
We thank all of our supporters. Thank you for igniting the light underneath our feet to really inspire us to reach for the stars. Thank you for seeing our vision and our mission and how we want to impact our young learners in our communities. We thank you for your support. You're very modest people, but we thank you so much for all of your support and all of your guidance in putting this application together. Dr. Nicholson, Dr. Williams, and I could not have gotten this far without you. So thank you very much. And we look forward to this partnership and really positively impacting the lives of our young scholars. Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to come before the committee today. The committee truly and sincerely appreciates not only your participation in today's meeting and the testimonials for which you've provided, but more importantly, your engagement in the application and collaboration and partnership with Norfolk State University. So at this time, I'm going to go to Dr. Armstrong, who's going to provide a staff report, and then we'll go to questions from the committee members.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and committee members, I would like to provide a brief overview on behalf of the VDOE on the Norfolk State University Young Scholars Academy Lab School application. The NSU Young Scholars will provide a unique early learners and pre-K focused lab school. This is the first application we have seen from the VDOE for a pre-K focus, which would begin on site at the Bowser Building on the campus of Norfolk State University, which is the site of the current NSU Child Development Center for 3- and 4-year-olds, and then grow into a K-1 program on site at individual school locations in both the Norfolk and Portsmouth public school systems. The focus of the NSU Young Scholars Academy will be to increase educational development and access among underrepresented students using a STEM curriculum and learner-centered approach focused on literacy and gifted education standards. The NSU Young Scholars Academy Lab School seeks to enhance early literacy skills by integrating knowledge of science, technology, arts, engineering, and mathematics, STEAM, as connections to their daily lives. Providing students with foundational skills along with family support will allow them to gain instruction to reinforce robust academic development. Furthermore, by partnering with 2 school districts to meet the needs of early learners, the Young Scholars Academy Lab School will become a space for educator training and recruitment. NSU teacher education students and candidates will have the opportunity to work as tutors and apply their content knowledge to classroom environments. This will allow them to strengthen their skills in lesson planning, differentiating instruction, creating culturally responsive learning environments, and utilizing assessment data to foster learning and academic success for young learners. Our review of the NSU application has included multiple rounds of subject matter expert feedback, including targeted review from the VDOE Office of Early Childhood Care and Education. Multiple calls were held between VDOE and the NSU team prior to and subsequent application submission, and the NSU team has been responsive and inquisitive as they have thoughtfully adjusted their plan based on VDOE and feedback from the Office of the Attorney General as well. As you will see in the attached completeness and compliance report, for the purposes of our standing committee review today, the NSU Young Scholars Program is ready to implement the elements of executive summary, mission, vision, governance, management structure, financial and operational information, placement plan, and other assurances and requirements. Under educational program, we do note that additional clarity is needed to determine compliance with Virginia SOQ requirements as related to the proposed lab school site at Norfolk State University, site of the 3 to 4-year-old program in year 1. While lab schools embedded within existing public schools, such as the Portsmouth and Norfolk locations of the Young Scholars Program, typically benefit from the many associated services of the local K-12 school division and the provision of many of those statutory and SOQ requirements, the agency hopes to collaborate further with the applicant to establish compliance for the NSU location. Given that the NSU application is our first pre-K proposal, technical assistance moving forward will be specialized and critical to ensuring compliance. I stand prepared to answer any questions of the committee at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong, for that report, as well as for the subject matter experts review and legal's review of the application. At this time, I'll go to members of the committee for their questions for the applicant. Dr. Moran, I see that you're off mute. I'll go to you first.
Thank you, Chair Wadiska. I just want to say that I applaud you for going after something that we have not seen yet, which is a focus on early childhood education. And Dr. Bracey, Dr. Birdsong, as myself, a former superintendent in Virginia, all of us, I think, really understand that the earlier that we can start to intervene and support and accelerate learning and build background knowledge with very young children, the more likely they're going to have a successful trajectory, not just through elementary school, but all the way through high school, graduate, and into life. So it's great to see the support from the 2 school divisions here, as well as from Norfolk State, which has a pretty comprehensive, I've looked at your curriculum, a pretty comprehensive early childhood education teacher prep program. The first place that I wanted to start is at that place of teacher preparation, because the other thing that I'm aware of, and I'd love to have you comment on this as a part of my question, but we know that one of the key purposes of a lab school is to make sure that as many teachers as you have in your pre-service programs get an opportunity to have a deep experience in understanding how to not just learn about early childhood education in seat time classes, but to have direct experiences in the field in a program like this, so that when they go out into schools, that they are far better prepared to take on early childhood classrooms, whether it's PK, K, first grade, second grade, which I think all fit within my spectrum of early childhood. So I'd love to know a little bit more about how you plan to bring pre-service teachers in, what you see that comprehensive experience as being like, what kinds of things you would expect them to do, and about how many teachers that you would plan to move through the STEAM program through the academy. Second to that is something that I know about the 2 school divisions, and that is that you both have high school CTE programs for aspiring teachers that are in your high schools right now. I would love to know whether there is maybe some sense of how even high school students that are in those academies that both Portsmouth and Norfolk City has, how they might also be pulled in and get a leg up on being able to have these experiences as well. So if you could just tell me a little bit more about the training program for inside the academy for Norfolk State pre-service teachers, but then also about the potential recruitment piece of that out of the high schools in Norfolk and Portsmouth.
So, Dr. Nicholson, do you want to start?
Yes, your question excites me, Dr. Moran, because that's the heart of what we do in preparing teachers. And so at our present, in the present program for early childhood and elementary education, students go through a 3 practicum experience. The very first practicum experience happens in the foundations class, which is Educational 201. And students have the opportunity at that time to do the observation in a setting. And so by having the setting that we're talking about here with the Young Scholars Academy, our students will actually have that experience along with their instructor, their professor, to look at the in-task standards and to look at ways that they see the learning environment. And so that is really a big deal for us, because we want them to be excited about the work early on. And we believe this will happen in this context. And then secondly, when they get to the point of the second practical experience, they also have to do more hours, but this time they get to work in small groups, right? They get to work with the students, and they also are looking at learner development, but they also learn about differentiated of instruction, right? And so this is the opportunity for them to work together in this lab school space, both in our campus as well as our two partner school districts. And then finally, of course, with student teaching, by then we've sold them and they pretty much know where they want to go. And if they're in this experience throughout the trajectory of their experience as a teacher education student, then they are more likely to want to continue in this work. And so we're excited about that opportunity. The second thing that you asked had to do with the CTE programs, aspiring educators, both in the two school districts. And so currently we work with a program called Educators Rising, but we have already begun to have conversations of how we can help our partner school districts to think about these programs. We would love to have those students in their programs to look at this lab school as their place of observation and to talk with them more about the profession, because we truly believe that if students have a good foundation in what education is, they will not just come to the profession for a year or two, but they will stay and they will understand the work that we do. And so, Dr. Ross, you want to add anything, or am I good?
So in conjunction with what you asked, Dr. Moran, we also have been very instrumental over the past 3 years in getting our methods classes and some of our other classes to actually occur within a school. So we have been so graciously welcomed, particularly in Norfolk Public Schools, by those principals who allow our professors to come and conduct their class at least once a week in an actual classroom, so that they get the experience of, you're in a classroom management class, this is how this is managed. Let's watch the teacher do it, and then you try the same thing in a small group. And so we are expanding these field experiences to enable our students to be, like I said earlier, to be first day ready when they walk into the classroom and have these experiences. Our close proximity to so many of the schools that fit the population that we're trying to tap into allows us that opportunity to have our students in all of our teacher preparation programs engage in these endeavors. And by having this on our campus, we already have students in all of our programs who already provide hours outside of, and this is volunteer on their part, and this is the heart of Norfolk State University, where service to our community is something that we discuss on a regular basis. So even outside of their regular classroom assignments, they still give volunteer hours to the preschool academy so that they get more experience of what it is like working with young scholars. And so these are some things that we will continue to have for our students moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if I can add really quick to Dr. Moran's question on the CTE side of it with Norfolk Public Schools, our largest teacher prepper program is actually held at a pre-K center in our Norfolk Technical Center. So this is a great match. And we developed a couple years ago pathway for our graduates to become pre-K paraprofessionals. And we've actually hired a couple of them over the past couple of years. So any field experience that we can have, we look for. So this will definitely be a great match for what we have in place right now.
I love it. It's a great use of the pipeline model. So I really appreciate that. And it's great to know you have that preschool center right there at your CTE center too. I have one more question, if it's okay, or I can wait, Dr. Wodiska.
Please proceed, Dr. Moran.
Okay. The other question that I had is that I know that registering students and getting kids into preschool programs really is time consuming. There's so much that has to go along with that. But I'm wondering about, I know that you described a process for how you will find students, get them into doing an application. And I know you're going to have to work with families on that. And then being able to really sort of timestamp applications as they come in. I also know that the lab school law specifies that it will be an open lottery, that all the students go into the hopper, and then you basically pull out applications to fill your slots. How do you see this reconciling the difference between the lottery model that our lab schools are supposed to use and the model of taking applications in order, time stamping them, and using that as a mechanism for getting kids into the program? Or is that something you think you still need to work some with the agency on to get that sorted out?
So I know that this is a conversation that we've had, as you said, Dr. Moran. We've operated differently in the past, but we will move to the lottery system. We look at it as a good change, right? Something that we can do to offer this education to more students. And we will work with the agency to make sure that our process is alignment and that it is fair across the board. But we are excited about the change and we look forward to the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Moran. At this time, I'll go to Mr. Hanson or Mr. Bailey for questions. Mr. Hanson, would you like to go first, sir?
Sure. Well, number one, just thank you. Dr. Williams and Dr. Nicholson and Dr. Wallace Alexander and everybody. I just really appreciate the vision and the thoughtfulness and the obvious collective work and partnership that's been put into this proposal, and just very intrigued by it. So just thank you for your vision and your work in putting this together. And I actually just had a couple of questions, and maybe dovetailing on Dr. Moran's question. If you could just help me, obviously by being an early childhood pipeline of students, just in terms of maybe identifying a little bit more clearly the intended population, and also just the community outreach or the marketing that might need to be associated with this, and just maybe what are some of the key characteristics that you're really looking for, not just in the first year, but as the program matures into kind of its full bloom. How would you feel like, what does success look like?
So let me tackle the first part when you talk about population. So we are very well aware of the underrepresentation of certain populations in gifted education. We are also very aware of the numbers when it comes to literacy and reading among populations across the state of Virginia. And so we are really trying to target those particular aspects. And so when we look at this program and we are seeking to market it, one of the things that we feel is very strong about our partnerships with our school divisions is that there's a strong marketing component there. We have a wonderful School of Education Advisory Board, which has representation of these school divisions. So we get the word out there. We also have wonderful resources here on the campus of Norfolk State University that enables us. As you know, we have a radio station, we have many productions. As a matter of fact, our campaign just for the school won an award. So we are very much capable of marketing to the populations that we seek. Because of the nature of this institution over the last 80 some years, we are very tapped into the communities. And so we are constantly present. You can't throw a stone without hearing somebody say, "Behold, the green and gold," anywhere throughout Hampton Roads. And so all we really have to do is wear a Norfolk State University shirt with our little School of Education emblem, and people ask us questions. We attend town halls, we attend meetings. We are very hands-on individuals here in the School of Education in helping individuals understand this is what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, and this is who we're trying to do it for. We really want to tap into those communities who normally don't have a great feeling about being heard and seen. And so I think that this is a great opportunity for us to get them to really embrace what we are trying to do and how it benefits their youth. And I think that this particular endeavor really taps into those young children where all parents want to see success. And because we have such a strong community engagement and really embrace parental involvement, we are able to give parents the tools. That is a component of our application, as well as providing parents with the support to be able to support their young scholars as they go on. So we're looking at building, when we say building a foundation, we're really looking at a ground level foundation building process here in which we are hands-on with our communities.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace Alexander. And just another question on just the timing of the opening, and also just understand kind of maybe what year one would look like. But again, maybe with the multiple locations with the 2 districts, schools, just maybe helping me have a clearer picture of maybe when you're a little bit more at full throttle, and how will the distribution of students look like, and what will how many students would be in each site, and what would be the types of transportation or other needs that might be before the districts.
So we began to have conversations already with that, Dr. Hanson. We looked at our current pre-K3 and pre-K4 here housed on the campus of Norfolk State University for year one. That would be open for Norfolk Public Schools, who is our closest, to actually bus students to us. Dr. Pohl, we talked with that, and we talked about, hey, this is ideal. We sit in the middle of Norfolk. And so it works in our world. And so that will happen year one for actual students. Also in that year, it would be a planning year for kindergarten and first grade, because the curriculum still needs to be written out. Our colleagues and partners at Portsmouth Public School have already begun to write curriculum in the science of reading. We will build on that so that we actually have curriculum and assessments that we'll be writing in year one, so that in year two, the other locations on the school of Parkview Elementary, as well as the school that Norfolk Public Schools will identify, will do kindergarten and first grade. And so year one solely on the Norfolk State University campus, with students from Norfolk Public Schools being able to come to our campus through transportation from them. And then in kindergarten and first grade, those 2 years will be written with curriculum and assessments that are aligned with our standards here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and they will be implemented in year 2, 3, and 4.
Chairman Wadisca, just maybe my last question is really just on the appreciated the conversation on the curriculum from, but just maybe a little bit further clarity on if this is going to be developed or already approved list of curriculum that would be used for the students.
So for pre-K3 or pre-K4, we are already using the approved curriculum of Streaming 3 that was created by UVA in alignment with Virginia Department of Education standards for early learners. And we will continue that because it is an amazing curriculum. It does everything we need it to do. It includes STEAM and the whole 9 yards. And so we're excited about our colleagues at UVA for bringing that to fruition for all of us to use. The curriculums in kindergarten and first grade will have a STEAM approach. We will look at current, of course, Virginia Department of Education standards of learning, and we'll continue to write on top of that with a STEAM approach. So that will be modified so that it includes that STEAM approach.
Thank you, Dr. Nicholson.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Mr. Bailey?
Excuse me. Thank you so much. Thanks for the time today and for walking us through this and for all the thoughtfulness you put into the application. I just wanted to double click on something that Pam had just mentioned about the admissions process. And I know we were just wrestling through some aspects with the lottery, but it's one of the main themes that I think was very prevalent throughout both your presentation as well as the application is making sure that that this is culturally responsive. And I wonder if you could just talk a little bit more about how you'll help sort of promote this opportunity for people to go into the admissions process, and just how you'll do the community outreach and bring people into the pipeline for this, just to help them explore that this is a good opportunity for them and for their kids. And before it even gets to kind of that lottery system, I'm just curious how you do the outreach and the recruitment for this.
Well, we have outreach endeavors already. As I previously said, we have a School of Education Advisory Board that has shared this information in their school districts with their individuals, and not to mention the fact we have a pretty good marketing team here at Norfolk State University. Many of our different university partnerships include many of our business partners, churches, community organizations, and the like. And so we have access to a plethora of entities to get our message out about this program, our vision, and our mission. We are very much engaged in several of our professional organizations as well. And because of that, we are able to also put the information out that in that way. We are always present at numerous civic, social, and educational events, which also allows us a platform in order to share. And not to mention, our partners are very good about sharing within their school districts. As you can see, we have the support of school board members, as well as superintendents and chief academic officers that are also instrumental in providing us with opportunities to engage with their constituents, with the parents and the students, to get this message out and share what the vision and mission is, and how to apply, and why this may be of interest to parents in the communities that we are trying to provide this particular experience.
And Mr. Bailey, just to add, our Office of Academic Affairs we have MOUs that we can leverage. And so we have MOUs with each one of the school districts. And so we can continue that route as well. But then ideals about hosting an open house have come in. So we will truly work with the department to make sure that we have a marketing campaign that is fair and equitable, so that students and their families across our area will have the opportunity to learn about the lab school before we start with the lottery process. And so we're very excited that we have so many entities, Academic Affairs, Norfolk Public Schools, Portsmouth Public Schools, that, we will sit at the table and we will come up with a true definitive way to do it so it's equitable. But of course, the leading with the department and Dr. Armstrong, we will go back and make sure that is correct.
Mr. Bailey, did you have anything further, sir?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, I certainly want to share my enthusiasm and excitement when we received this application. It was really just so delightful to see a partnership really focused on young scholars and for our earliest learners. And I love that you reached into the 3- and 4-year-olds. And really are dialing in on how to create a seamless transition for them with the public schools. I had a wonderful experience in my own local community, helping create these bridges, and the value that it creates, not only for the child, but for family engagement and support. The benefits continue to show throughout an academic experience for a young learner who eventually becomes a graduate. So I want to thank you. And it's harder when you're working with young learners. There are more compliance requirements on little ones, and there's more agencies involved and more rules. That is something certainly that makes this population that much more complicated to serve. But you've taken on that effort, and for that, I compliment you, because you'd be the first one. When I'm listening to the other committee members, and as we've reviewed your application, and I think I've sent over some of our questions that I had in advance of today's consideration, I sincerely hear not only your passion and collaboration with one another, but your willingness to work with the Virginia Department of Education, noting that this population is a little trickier to serve because of all those compliance elements. what I think we might be inclined to do at this point is to further refer your application back to VDOE for further technical assistance, support, and coaching. I've kept kind of a list of what those elements are, and I can certainly put that down in a moment, but I kind of want to walk you through what we're thinking about in terms of a process. So if you've been following our work, I think you may have noted that we have had a number of applications that have come before the committee on compliance issues, and we have referred those applications back to VDOE for further technical assistance and support and coaching. It's really been an important consideration for the committee. We're not trying to make this into a high stakes environment of yes or no. We really want to help our applicants not only help our applicants get to yes and fulfill the statutory compliance mechanisms. And sometimes that's really tricky. When we have worked with our applicants to do so, I'm proud to say that because of the great support from VDOE, every applicant that's been referred back has come back before the committee, has been referred by this committee to the State Board of Education, has ultimately been approved. And so I want to assure you that the support that you can receive from the agency is collaborative, and they're there to assist you. So if what I've kind of heard from the committee members, and at this time I'm going to kind of put into the record, would be that on behalf of the committee, I would direct VDOE to work with Norfolk State University to provide additional coaching and technical support in the following areas. A plan to include pre-service teachers, SOQ compliance for either a standalone program or a standalone school or a program, or in this case, both, as you may have it. The lottery process, including enrollment, marketing, and de-enrollment, the academic programs, and transportation. I have not asked a question about sustainability, but I will put that into this as well. So for sustainability, just to get more information and detail into your application. And upon any further refinement and amendments that are made to your application, you can submit those to the committee, and the committee will consider your application on final review and take it up the next opportunity. And one last close I want to make on this, and we've had this with a number of our applicants. There's not a shot clock above your head. I understand, the committee understands that this is very hard work, and we're not expecting it to be expedient. It's more valuable that it's quality work. So if it takes you a month or 2 months or 6 months, that is acceptable. And if at any point that you should decide that you do not want to proceed with an application, of course, an applicant retains that ability at any point in the process as well. And so really the next step, you would be driving the timelines. They are not driven for you. You get to have full choice and discretion as to how you work on the application and how it's involved. So that's kind of been the deliberation. I'm going to just stop there for a moment, see Dr. Wallace or Dr. Nicholas, should you have any questions. And I know that you know Dr. Armstrong, and he's going to be a great partner in your work, but I do want to just see if you have any questions at this time.
I don't know if it's necessarily a question as more of a thought in how exactly we proceed forward. So the timeline of, when we would receive everything that we need to do, and then what's next for us to be able to submit to, get this program off the ground.
Absolutely. So the items that we've just identified where the committee needs further information, you as the applicant would work to build out more details around those elements. You would do that in collaboration with Dr. Armstrong. For those areas where there's a compliance question, staff can also engage the Office of the Attorney General on items like SOQ and just help you understand those compliance items in further detail. Once those items are sufficiently answered for VDOE and the Office of Attorney General, an amended application would be submitted back to the committee. And at that time, we would call a meeting and consider your application. So, I really want to emphasize that, you can feel confident to take as much time as you so desire. We've had some applicants that they took 6 months to further work out details on their application. Some took just a few weeks. But we don't want to set that requirement over your head as to when. Is that sufficient, or do you have a further question about that? I do want to make sure that you feel comfortable with that.
For now, that's sufficient. I'm sure I'll probably have other questions as time goes on.
Dr. Nicholas, I think you had a question as well.
I want to say thank you, Madam Chair, and to the committee members for your questions on today. It helps us to think through those pieces. As you can tell, we're really excited about the ideal, so we will work forward to make sure this works out. Our partners are amazing, and we believe that what we're doing is truly going to impact the lives of young learners in our area as well as their families. So thank you for the opportunity to discuss this.
Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you at a future meeting. All right. At this time, we are going to proceed then with item B. Before we do so, however, excuse me for just one moment here. Prior to the consideration of item B, I'm going to turn the virtual gavel over to our committee vice chair, Dr. Pamela Moran. I will be going off camera as well, and I will rejoin the meeting upon the conclusion of item B. I serve on the board of directors for the Virginia Spaceflight Academy, which is a partner in the upcoming item B. Virginia Spaceflight Academy is where our daughter attended and graduated, and therefore I'm going to recuse myself from consideration of this item before the committee. Dr. Moran.
Thank you, Dr. Wiska. So we appreciate everyone that's with us here today, both from the Norfolk State application, and it's a highly important one. Excited about it and look forward to you coming back after some of those compliance details have been worked out with the department. But now I want to turn to the ODU application, the Aerospace Academy of the Eastern Shore Lab School, AAES for short. And what we're going to be doing is beginning with saying thank you for being here. And I believe that we have Dr. Sanzo, Dr. Reed, and Maggie Barber with us from ODU. And what we're going to do is to invite you as a starting point to tell us about your application. You've got a presentation that you'll be bringing up. And then what we will be doing is giving then anyone else here that has an interest in speaking to the ODU application to have an opportunity to do that. And we will also have Dr. Armstrong provide his report. So I presume I need to turn it over to Dr. Sanzo first to begin to share with us the ODU application on AAES Lab School.
Yes, thank you. I'll go ahead and share my presentation. See my notes. Hang on one second. Okay, I think that should work now. Is that correct? Okay, super great. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Chair Wadiska and members of the Standing Committee, Dr. Kuntz and colleagues joining us today. I'm Karen Sanzo, Director of the Institute for Design Thinking and Leadership Development at ODU. I'm appreciative to my partners joining me here today to share about our lab school proposal, the Aerospace Academy of the Eastern Shore. I'm joined here in our formal presentation by Dr. Phil Reed, Professor in the Department of Educational Leadership and Workforce Development in the Darden College of Education and Professional Studies, and Dr. Maggie Barber, Associate Dean for Educator Preparation and Assessment. And I need to figure out, there we go, next slide. Virginia is a burgeoning home to the aerospace industry, and the state's aerospace and unmanned systems industry workforce is projected to grow by 8.5% during the next decade. And the establishment of the Aerospace Academy on the Eastern Shore where the poverty rate exceeds 40% and the past 2 decades have seen an aging and decreasing population, can significantly contribute to the region's economic growth. An educated and trained workforce can help bring aerospace supply chain businesses to the Eastern Shore. And this is a strategic response to a critical workforce need in our community. And we are directly aligning with regional economic trends and job market demands. Our educational approach for the Aerospace Academy is aligned with our lab school approach and continues with our focus on an innovative and research-supported design. In partnership with our districts, education, industry, and other partners, we plan to utilize student-guided learning, STEM integration, and experiential learning to equip students with the skills needed for high-demand aerospace industry jobs. The mission is to provide at-risk and or underrepresented populations access to the knowledge, skills, abilities needed to be successful in aerospace and adjacent industries. And our vision is that this will be an innovative, interdisciplinary school and the regional standard of excellence in preparation for the high-tech aerospace fields. So the sample schedule that Dr. Reed is going to discuss will show you how a student's day at the Aerospace Academy would be structured and what it would look like. Students who have been admitted through an open lottery system using the SchoolMint enrollment system will attend the Academy from their home school. And they will have in-person and virtual courses. Throughout their school experience, students will have opportunities to engage in site visits and other experiential learning opportunities in order to engage with and be prepared for aerospace industry careers. Educational partners include the Virginia Space Grant Consortium, the Virginia Flight Academy, and others, as you can see in our application, and those who will be speaking today. So not only will students in the lab school participate in courses specifically related to aerospace during their academic day, they'll also have opportunities to participate in summer experiences. And we plan to provide all students the opportunity to attend at least one summer camp through the Virginia Space Flight Academy during their lab school experience, as well as participate annually in aerospace educational modules from the Virginia Space Flight Academy and partnering with the Virginia Space Grant Consortium to work with their educational modules as well. And Dr. Reed is going to share about the curriculum.
Thank you, Dr. Sanzo. So you can see here, the AAES Academy has 2 pathways: Aerospace Information and Security Systems, or Aerospace Engineering and Exploration. And additionally, you can see in the Aerospace Engineering and Exploration pathway, students can specialize in aerospace engineering and computer science, or in unmanned aircraft and geospatial technology. And we'll talk a little bit about each of the pathways and the grade levels here. So in grade 9, the English Language Arts class will focus on ethics and engineering and technology. So that'll focus on, professionalism of engineers, as well as working with clients and other constituents. Students will also take an Introduction to Aerospace Engineering and Design course. In grade 10, students will take honors courses in English Language Arts and biology, and they will further their design skills in a technical drawing and design course. Students in the AAES Lab School will have the opportunity to participate, as Dr. Sanzo said, in the Virginia Space Flight Academy, which contains online modules, a STEM Academy, and a Space Adventure Camp, among other activities, both during the year and during the summer. Next slide, please. Thank you. In grade 11, students will begin taking engineering and computer science courses that are specific to their pathway. In both pathways, students will be encouraged to take electives in the Virginia Aerospace and Technology Scholars Program, and otherwise known as VATS. And the VATS program is offered by the Virginia Space Grant Consortium. Students will have spots in those classes. They will not have to apply to get in those Space Grant Consortium classes. In grade 12, students will complete a capstone project, an internship, and are encouraged to take electives in the Virginia Earth System Science Scholars, or VESS program. The VESS program is offered by the Virginia Space Grant Consortium, and like the VATS program, students will have spots in there as well. So this figure illustrates how the core classes and pathway courses are designed to foster 21st century skills and students' interest in STEM careers. The instructional focus is on tackling authentic problems through active learning, such as design challenges, internships, and capstone projects.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to point out the similarities in these designs across our lab schools so that we're able to cultivate this lab school network where we're able to bring teachers, directors, and partners together so that we're able to learn iteratively through our research and scale up as we move forward. We have a number of different college and career opportunities for our students. During the design phase of our proposed school, we've had an opportunity to connect with different industry professionals to ideate around powerful learning experiences, and we'll continue to do this in the upcoming year. The students will have that opportunity to earn dual enrollment credits from Eastern Shore Community College, and we also have an opportunity to have ODU-specific credits. We're designing the school in a way that provides students with work-based experiences. We're very excited about our partnerships and collaborations that we've already established and opportunities to network with potential employers. The students will leave the academy, college, career, and citizen ready, contributing to a thriving aerospace industry. And the academy represents our commitment to our students' futures, our commitment to our community's economic health, and helping to cultivate Virginia's aerospace industry. And so we have the number of industry partners that are here. And then looking ahead, we are going to use this upcoming year to continue to collaborate and iterate around the design to have 50 students coming in the freshman year, again, through this open lottery that we're able to host through SchoolMint with the application process. And then each subsequent year, bringing in additional students so that we have 1,000 students eventually annually that are a part of this. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Barber to speak around teacher preparation and development.
Thank you, Dr. Sanzo. We are pleased to partner with Eastern Shore Community College and Accomack and Northampton Public Schools on the Aerospace Academy of the Eastern Shore on creating and supporting a continuum of teacher preparation and professional development. This proposal reflects work that's already underway in creating scalable and sustainable strategies for recruiting, preparing, retaining, and sustaining high-quality teachers in our community's high-need schools and divisions. It further reflects ODU's commitment to creating affordable pathways to developing high-quality teacher preparation to meet the specific needs of each of our divisions. These efforts parallel our efforts across our lab school networks to better support scale and expansion of this work throughout the region. The first prong of this is a regional approach in the Tidewater and Eastern Shore communities that uses teacher residencies and teacher apprenticeships, drawing actively on the workforce of paraprofessionals in our partner schools. We know that paraprofessionals have already demonstrated their interest and commitment in working in schools, including high-need schools. They're familiar with the requirements and the day-to-day work in those classrooms. They are more likely to reflect the diversity of the students in their K-12 classrooms, and they are already largely members of the communities that they serve. We will work with Eastern Shore Community College and Tidewater Community College as appropriate to support paraprofessionals in completing their associate's degrees, and ODU will support them to complete their bachelor's degrees with licensure in critical shortage areas such as elementary education and special education. By doing so, we're investing not only in the capacity of schools to meet the needs of all children, but we're also investing in the workforce development and economic opportunities for paraprofessionals who currently earn low wages for their work in schools. We are excited by the potential to scale this work up and anticipate being able to start with as many as 90 in our first cohort and scale well beyond that to meet the needs of our school divisions. To this end, we have already begun our efforts to support these programs. We have a longstanding teacher residency program in the Hampton Roads that we will be expanding to include our partners in this next round of funding to include our divisions on the Eastern Shore. We will be seeking funding through the next round of VDOE teacher residency funding this summer. We have also already begun our work on establishing a Region 2 teacher apprenticeship consortium to support the region's preparation of paraprofessionals to be fully licensed. We've submitted a $1.3 million congressional appropriations proposal to support this effort, and we're excited to share that we've heard last week that Senators Warner and Kane have advanced this proposal to the Senate Appropriations Committee for a decision later this summer. This work would address instructional costs and help us establish this program to move it forward. We are also preparing a proposal through VDOE to establish a regional apprenticeship program. Last week, we supported a U.S. Department of Ed teacher quality partnership proposal to support mentor training and induction components of this program throughout the region to ensure effective transfer of learning from preparation into practice. Again, to focus not only on preparing excellent educators, but to ensure they stay in the communities that they were prepared in to meet those needs. We have also submitted a proposal to the National Center for Teacher Residencies to support the needs of teacher candidates from underrepresented communities. Throughout this work, we're looking for sustainable models that rely on existing division and university resources, knowing that we need to reduce the cost of teacher preparation and increasing the pipeline. In addition to these efforts with preparing new teachers, we're also developing an ODU Lab School Network professional development hub that will support the work across our lab schools to provide focused teacher professional development to build and extend teacher capacity and innovative pedagogical practices aligned specifically with the mission of the school. And then finally, for the last component, we will be providing educator professional development through the Virginia Space Grant Consortium to ensure close integration between teacher practice and the aerospace focus. Thank you.
Great, thank you. In addition to the Professional Development Educator Hub, we also are expanding our research efforts and having a research hub. So we're also able to learn across our lab school network and scale up as well. The research model is aligned with our other schools using a design-based implementation approach. It integrates faculty, public school educators, business and industry experts, and others for designing and testing our educational innovations, using evidence to make decisions that positively support student learning and evidence that contributes to our continuous improvement model and promotes sustainability. One of the unique elements for this lab school proposal is the way in which we work across multiple school systems and multiple high schools in order to design and implement an innovative lab school model. Our research around scheduling, innovative learning design, and collaboration across divisions will be an important part of our research and evaluation approach. Our budget represents a need to provide innovative and robust educational programming for students, including summer learning experiences, experiential learning, and in-person and virtual learning opportunities. We also anticipate needing to spend focused amounts of time around curriculum development, learning design, and designing our implementation of the programming. We're also excited to be able to provide students the opportunity to earn dual enrollment credits without cost to them or the school divisions. Because of the uniqueness of this learning design, we'll intend to bring in different learning partners, and those learning partners will help us as we iterate around our curriculum design and instructional approach. Our lab school network design has focused squarely on sustainability. We believe that we have designed and put forward very sustainable models for our laboratory schools. As shared previously, ODU has a strong history of sustainability of initiatives. Leveraging our research to demonstrate the innovations, we want to continue to pursue grants, or as you've already heard from Dr. Barber about our robust work around educator preparation, and we have had over a decade of ongoing grant funding. We've already begun discussions with potential partners to explore the ways in which they can assist with our sustainability efforts. We continue to work with our development office and to create a robust development approach. ODU also has committed to investing in our lab school efforts. This includes providing personnel resources, fiscal commitments, and other resources such as facilities and technology in order to help ensure the sustainability of our lab schools. My next slide is a thank you. Here we go. I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to present and just a thank you to our partners with Accomack and Northampton. I am particularly excited about the possibility of working again on the Eastern Shore, having already had a federal grant earlier on in my career. And I just know that it's such an amazing location and great partners. And so thank you as well for your work on this. So thank you. And we do have a number of people here who are joining us to express their commitment. If we're okay to introduce them.
Absolutely. This is a great time for anyone else that you have. And so if you would just go ahead and call on someone to join us and then move us through each of the folks that you have here with you today.
Okay, great. I have a list, but also if I miss anybody, please chime in. So I'm going to invite Dr. Martin first and then Dr. Hall.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Lisa Martin. I'm the superintendent of Northampton County Public Schools. We on the Eastern Shore are very excited about the opportunities to partner not only with ODU and the Eastern Shore Community College, but with all of our space friends, and are looking at, as we roll out this aviation aerospace opportunity for our students. We're looking at what these partnerships, these experiences, these project-based learning opportunities and potential internships, mentorships, and apprenticeships will do for our students. We also recognize that the Eastern Shore, while narrow across, it is very long. And as this industry continues to expand, it is looking to move into the Northampton area. So we need to ensure that our students are prepared for the workforce, as well as to ensure economic development here in Northampton County. Thank you.
It's great to see you here, Dr. Martin. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
And
yep. Hi, Karen. Hello, I'm Dr. Hall from Accomack County Public Schools, the superintendent. And as Dr. Martin said, we are also excited about this new endeavor for Accomack and Northampton County, and we look forward to working with Northampton County, Old Dominion, Eastern Shore Community College, as well as our partners also. And this lab school will enhance our current curriculum and provide our students with more opportunities to be workforce ready in the area of aerospace and unmanned systems. So we are excited also. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us here today, Dr. Hall. I know that you're a long, long way away, but virtual just brings you right here from Accomack. Thanks for being with us.
Welcome.
So Dr. Schaefer had a 1:30 that he had to log off, but he told me to feel free to mention his support and the support of Eastern Shore Community College. But he was here for a bit and then he had to go to a meeting. So I would also like to invite Joyce Winterton to share.
Can you hear me all right? My camera does not want to turn on. I've got a new laptop and we're having a little challenge. But really want to say how important. I'm Joyce Winterton. I'm part of the senior management team at NASA Wallops Flight Facility and lead our education efforts. We are very optimistic about expanding our work with both Accomack and Northampton County and our partners. The aerospace industry on the Eastern Shore is clearly expanding. We're having more opportunities to work with collaborators and partners. Our launch cadence is increasing significantly, and this project is very critical and essential to our future workforce. So the kinds of opportunities that we'll work with the team to provide both for students and our educators, giving them real-world hands-on experience at Wallops Flight Facility is something we will expand and look forward to. So it's really a very robust and needed program here on the Eastern Shore. And NASA is very willing to expand what we do with Eastern Shore Community College, ODU, and the school districts. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Senso, is there anyone else that is here?
We do have a couple more, yes. I'm going to invite my colleagues from the Virginia Space Grant Consortium, Dr. White, and so I wasn't sure if you were speaking, say Chris, I see Chris's camera's off.
So good afternoon. I am Dr. Rachel White, the Assistant Director of the Virginia Space Grant Consortium, and VSGC is a member of NASA's National Space Grant Program. We consist of 5 Virginia universities, VDOE, Virginia Community College System, NASA Langley Research Center, NASA Wallops Flight Facility, and other members with a strong interest in aerospace and STEM education, workforce development, and research. VSGC provides free STEM programs for students, educators, and researchers to build the STEM pipeline for the state of Virginia. The Virginia Space Grant Consortium supports the Aerospace Academy of the Eastern Shore, being led by Old Dominion University and in the partnerships with Accomack and Northampton County Public Schools. VSGC secondary programs that significantly align with the mission and vision of the AAES include the Virginia Space Coast Scholars, Virginia Aerospace Science and Technology Scholars, and the Virginia Earth and Systems Science Scholars. All three programs focus on increasing students' aerospace-related STEM knowledge and curiosity. Through several online modules, students are encouraged to grow their creativity in designing new concepts in aerospace and the NASA-related missions. VSGC can identify spots for AAES students. And for professional development, we can provide educators training surrounding the aerospace sector, workforce needs, and career pathways into their classrooms teaching that can be leveraged to increase the AAES staff and partnering school divisions' content knowledge and skills. Two of these existing PD programs include Bringing Space into the CTE Classroom with ODU and STEM Takes Flight Professional Development at NASA Wallops. VSGC can offer spots in these workshops for AAES staff and teachers in support of this lab school. And lastly, VSGC can provide experiential hands-on educational summer academy programs for students. I will serve as our primary point of contact for the project. I have previous experience in serving as the administrative director of a Virginia Governor STEM Academy, and we will involve program STEM coordinators to serve as subject matter experts in the field of aerospace education as appropriate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. We also have Sydney McGee.
Hello. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm on the Eastern Shore, so you never quite know with our signal out here. I'm at the spaceport today. But hi, nice to see everyone. I'm Sydney McGee. I'm with the Virginia Spaceport Authority. I'm the Chief of Education and Intern Development. And we are so excited about the Aerospace Lab School, about the Aerospace Academy of the Eastern Shore. And funnily enough, we actually have pretty strong partnerships already with their supporting institutions. VSA was actually started by an ODU professor. And we've had an MOU with ESCC for quite a while now, for a few years now. So this is actually really a continuation of a partnership. It doesn't feel like a brand new partnership, even though this is a new endeavor. So we're really excited to keep these partnerships going and to get these students access to our spaceport and to our launch pads. We're just building our 4th right now. So we have a lot of exciting growth and construction happening out here at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport. And one of the main pillars of VSA that upholds us is furthering STEM education in the Commonwealth. So this makes all the sense in the world to us. And our customers as well, such as Rocket Lab, are really interested in recruiting talent from the shore. And as they bring business and as they bring jobs here, they want people who are from here to hire and employ in those jobs. They don't want to move people from New Zealand. They don't want to move people from other states. So we've heard that from Rocket Lab and other customers of ours. So this just lines up in every conceivable way for us. So we're so excited and so happy to support and give access to these kids.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kim Check. I feel like I'm calling a roster in my class. I just appreciate everybody being here.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Check, the Executive Director of the Virginia Space Flight Academy. Also currently at Wallops Island with potentially spotty cellular and Wi-Fi service. So hopefully everyone can hear and see me okay. So here at Wallops Island, we are a long-standing provider of STEM education with a very heavy aerospace lean in both Northampton and Accomack County Public Schools. We are in full support of the Aerospace Academy on the Eastern Shore. We are in our 26th year of serving local students through our residential space camp that's operated at Wallops Island through a special Space Act agreement with the NASA Wallops Flight Facility, and also through our year-round STEM Academy program, which focuses all on aerospace engineering, computer sciences, and physics topics as well. Our curriculum is uniquely positioned to enhance the objectives outlined in the AAES proposal by offering lab school students with unparalleled access and seats at our space camp to continue their summer learning, as well as supporting students during the school year through our STEM Academy modules, which operate both fall, spring semesters, and also in the summer. All of these programs connect students to real-world applications and exposure to the diverse workforce working in the industry both locally here at Wallops and throughout the state of Virginia. With your support of this proposal, we are very excited to kind of pull together what Sydney spoke to, the power of the existing partnerships here on the Eastern Shore within the Wallops Aerospace ecosystem. This crew will be able to provide students with a comprehensive aerospace education that really lead to local students pursuing careers within the state and locally here at Wallops. So thank you so much. We're excited to be a part of this application process.
Thank you.
And I think we have one more, Christina Brooks, and if I'm incorrect, please chime in after her. Thank you.
Hi, Karen. I'm Christina Brooks with the Hampton Roads Workforce Council. We are the workforce development board that serves Go Virginia Region 5, and we do support efforts on the Eastern Shore in collaboration with our colleagues at the Bay Consortium Workforce Board as well. We are very excited about this proposal. We are on standby to help however we can, and I just want to thank you so much for considering this application, and we look forward to hopefully hearing the good news later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Santos, does that conclude comments from your support base that's here today?
I believe it does.
All right, thank you. It was wonderful to hear from each of you. I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Andy Armstrong, who will present the staff report on the Aerospace Academy proposal.
Thank you, Dr. Moran and committee members. I would like to again provide a brief overview on behalf of the agency on the Aerospace Academy of the Eastern Shore, AAES, lab school application. AAES is proposed to create a pipeline to prepare workers for the aerospace and adjacent industries identified as priorities by the Go Virginia Region 5 Economic Development Authority as an innovative interdisciplinary school and the regional standard of excellence in preparation for the high-tech jobs in these high-growth fields. ODU and their partners, Eastern Shore Community College, Accomack County Public Schools, and Northampton County Public Schools, have presented a quality proposal that represents significant support and cooperation from among higher ed, K-12 public education, and as you can see today from the testimonials, a variety of industry and philanthropic partners present in the aerospace networks that continue to grow on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. This lab school proposal represents the beginning of an educational program that aspires to adapt to the needs of the aerospace industry and the unique communities of Accomack and Northampton counties through support of K-12 students and responsiveness to workforce demands. Our review of the ODU AAES application has included multiple rounds of subject matter expert feedback and several calls before and since the submission of the application, as well as an on-site visit to the Eastern Shore in May, which included the Virginia Department of Education, Dr. Coons, as well as members of the Governor's Transformation Team. The AAES team has been responsive and inquisitive as they have thoughtfully adjusted their plan to meet the compliance requirements of Virginia lab schools while leaving space for growth and future ambitions aligned with student success. As you will see in the attached completeness and compliance report for the purposes of our standing committee review today, the ODU AAES proposal is ready to implement in the elements of executive summary, mission, vision, educational program, governance, management structure, financial and operational information, placement plan, and other assurances and requirements. The ODU AAES is slated to begin operations with students in 25-26, providing a year of startup activities to ensure thoughtful and deliberate application of the proposed curriculum, facilities, and technology improvements and cultivation of emerging partnerships. Dr. Moran, I stand ready for any questions of the committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Armstrong. Excuse me. At this point, I would love to turn to Mr. Hanson and see if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Moran, and thank you all. And just Dr. Sanzo, great to see you again. And Dr. Reed, just appreciate the quality proposal that has come before the committee today, and just really am very impressed both by the scope and the direction of the proposal, and really the partnerships between education and business and the government funding and philanthropic. It really is a total community effort. So just commend you for that. I really only have one question, and just with the kind of the student population of 50 freshmen first year. Maybe just help me understand a little bit if if you have a 10% attrition rate every year, what is the continuity of the program for 4 years between the curriculum and the internships or apprenticeships, and if you did have some attrition in filling those seats for the middle of the classes, is there just would students be behind in terms of the curriculum for the 4 years, or maybe just help me understand how that would work?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's one that we've talked a little bit about. And I feel like the way that we've designed the freshman year and having those 2 courses and then having the one as an option in the sophomore year allows, if we have attrition that freshman, for students to kind of catch up with an additional elective course, and we can supplement with the English course as well. And so that to me has built in that freshman to sophomore. Also, just honestly suspect that this is going to be a really popular program, and I feel like we may need to already anticipate having more seats that we may potentially need to add in that sophomore year. And so we've talked again with partners like the Virginia Space Flight Association and with the Virginia Space Grant Consortium, and I realize I'm probably getting names a little bit mixed up, but they're also available to help and present with those supplemental resources. The other piece is we have written in funding for students to attend that summer experience, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all freshmen have to attend that summer experience the summer after their freshman year. It's written in where it could be potentially freshman or sophomore, depending upon the age for the students. I think too, that's something that we are going to continue to discuss and explore, but I feel confident that at least the freshman to sophomore, if we need to have more, is that mechanism's already built in. And then we can definitely look at what that would look like from a junior to senior year, or sophomore to junior, junior to senior year with attrition.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Miranda, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, then I'm going to turn it to Mr. Bailey.
Just thank you. Thank you for just the creativity and the thoughtfulness and the comprehensiveness that went into the application. Super exciting on a number of fronts. I was really impressed too with the teacher preparation and just all the different ways that you're bringing some innovation in there with the apprenticeship model, the residency model, and just helping to not just strengthen your program, but just to strengthen hopefully our educator pipeline that can just go and be an amazing STEM resource around the Commonwealth. I wondered if you could just elaborate a little bit more too on just the process of inviting students to participate. You talked about how important it was for diversity, and it listed a number of different sort of ways of you're thinking about diversity, from racial and social, economic. And I just wondered if you could talk a little bit more about just how do you go out and encourage students to consider a program like this, some that might not think of themselves as a STEM or as a aerospace student, and just how do you go out and get them interested and then move them further into the application process?
Yes, so that's a great question. It is lunchtime conversations. It is being embedded in the middle school. It is being at the parent nights with the students in the middle and high school, speaking to that attrition and adding more students in there. It's deep community outreach, because part of it, when you introduce a new program, there's a big trust piece of it that's built into the components. One of our benefits with our other lab schools is we have experts in community and community outreach and engagement, and being able to work with those faculty members, and working, I can tell you, working with Northampton and Accomack, they know their students and their families very well. It's not a type of initiative where I think it's going to be emails, it is really going to be embedded in the community, speaking to it, field trips, looking at the ways that we can potentially work with our partners at the middle school level, and having site-based trips out to Wallops Island already, out to other partners, going out on site and letting kids get immersed in that work, and so that they can see themselves as a part of it. Currently, we don't have a GoTech lab on the Eastern Shore. Christina can correct me if I'm wrong. I think one of our hopes would be to get the GoTech Labs potentially out in Northampton and Accomack. That's a middle school career and technology and emerging careers program. So students are able to get their hands on the equipment so that they can see themselves in those careers. Because unless they understand and see it and experience it, then why would they go into that program? Let me speak one piece. So that is why we have a director, and then we have an ed specialist written into that for the first year coming up, because we need people who are on the ground, who are engaging with our partners. And again, as I said, Accomack and Northampton have talked about the ways in which we can reach out to the communities, and they've already done that as a part of the initial planning for this grant, but continuing to be out there because we would want to start recruiting students in December, January as we think about scheduling. And as I mentioned, the scheduling piece is going to be a component that we have to consider. And it's an open lottery, and we could have, X number of students here at this high school, X students number of here, so that we're able to thoughtfully sit down spring 2025 and think about what are the logistics? How are we going to make this work? How do we ensure that kids are connected and it's a cohort and they are a part of this community as they go through their 4 years?
That's great. Thank you so much. Really exciting to visit.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Do you have any further questions? Okay, thank you. I have just a couple before we move on to the next step with this proposal. And one is that I would love to hear just a little bit more about how you see your relationship with Eastern Shore building out. I am so thrilled to have seen so many community colleges either in partnership or bringing forward proposals around lab schools. And I know that the president was not able to stay with us today, but could you elaborate a little bit on that in particular, since I think that you're intending to use some focus on their teacher education program at the community college to articulate with ODU in this project?
I'd be happy to speak to that point. We've met already with Dr. Schaefer and his team at Eastern Shore several months ago to talk about this opportunity to be able to stand up a regional apprenticeship program. We've also spoken with our peers at Tidewater Community College to the extent that they offer some supplemental courses when not available at Eastern Shore. And we have the support of both. And so looking at supporting those paraprofessionals who might have taken their parapro assessment, but don't have 60 credits completed toward their associate's degree, to be able to complete those associates or start and complete an associate's degree through Eastern Shore. As you can imagine, I know you can appreciate that our focus is trying to remove the barriers of cost and time and travel. And so being able to provide high quality teacher preparation programs at Eastern Shore Community College on site, online at Tidewater Community College to support that, and then online strong teacher education at ODU. Again, we're able to drive to them and to support and provide classroom-based supports, but to minimize the cost and travel for those individuals who are already working a full-time job in that region.
Absolutely. And then this question goes along with a little bit of what you were just saying. And it is relevant for me to both students and to potential pre-service teachers that might be working in this program. And that is, do you anticipate that there are transportation barriers that you're going to have to address? I know that Tangier certainly offers some challenges to get kids to a place where they can participate in some of the activities you're describing, but also being able to get some of your ODU students into the pipeline to participate in practicum experiences out there, et cetera.
I'd be happy to speak to the pre-service piece of it. So we've already been planning a tour of the Hampton Roads region. We recognize that some of our students currently enrolled at ODU see any bridge or tunnel as one too far to get to divisions. And so starting that conversation about how we can bring our pre-service students to our community partners to get a sense of the great work that's being done in their schools. We have already had a practice of providing the ODU shuttle to provide transportation for those students who need extra supports to be able to get onto their K-12 campuses, and we anticipate being able to continue doing that work. We also really look to having a cohort model to support that work and continuity. We want to make sure that we reduce any kind of barrier, and that includes cost of licensure tests, test registration fees, the cost of tuition, looking at reductions in tuition at the undergraduate level, as well as things like transportation.
Okay. And I don't know if Dr. Martin or Dr. Hall, if you're anticipating that transportation is going to create any challenges for you for students to participate.
For students, absolutely not, because we, Dr. Hall and I work together very collaboratively on, even when we're looking at taking students away from us across the water, we're looking at what can we do to streamline and make sure that we have that partnership in transportation for our student interns or our practicum students, those that are going to be coming over here, in particular for our student residents and our student apprenticeships. We're hoping to grow those that are already here from the shore and enhance those partnerships. But also one of the things that we did put in place and Northampton is we put a rideshare program in. And so if there's space available, that would be something that we would explore to ensure that those teacher apprenticeships coming across could make sure that it's not a bridge too far in order to be a part of our school system. So thank you.
It is one of the most beautiful, wonderful areas of Virginia, and I would see it as a wonderful destination for educators to come that direction if they're not already there in the pipeline.
Absolutely.
Dr. Hall?
Well, as far as our students coming from Tangier, because you did mention that, we already have systems in place to transfer our students, to involve them in programs that are already here in Accomack County. So we already have those systems in place, and we would just continue supporting them that way.
Thank you. You may be the only superintendent in Virginia who has to take either air or water transportation to get to a school, I do believe.
Exactly right.
So thank you. All right. Are there any other further questions from members of the committee? If not, is there a motion to approve the ODU University application on first and final review and refer to the Virginia State Board of Education for approval?
I will move.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. So we had a 3-0 vote. And I would like to say now that I just so appreciate you bringing this forward. We have been thrilled with every application that's come to us over the course of this past year. And on behalf of the committee, I'm going to direct you to post, staff to post the Norfolk State University's application for 10-day public comment in accordance with the Standing Committee's procedures, compile the comments received for review by the State Board of Education in June, and direct staff to finalize a report with the Standing Committee's comments from today and endorsement, and to compile that report along with the application and all additional material received by the Standing Committee and refer it to the Board of Education's June meeting. At this time, I'm going to return the gavel to Chair Wadiska to conclude our remaining business items. And I just want to end by thanking everyone that is here from ODU and from the Eastern Shore today, from the school divisions, for your time and for your commitment to this project. Thank you. And this application will move forward.
Thank you. Really appreciate everybody's time and on this. And I do want to express my thanks to the partners for their work. I mean, I think it's just going to be powerful for students. So thank you.
It's really wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Sanzo, for bringing the team together and for another ODU proposal moving forward. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Moran.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to proceed with item C. Before we begin item C, which is our pipeline update, I'm actually going to go to the Vice President of the State Board of Education, Mr. Hanson, for an update from the State Board of Ed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick review. The State Board of Education had a special meeting a couple of weeks ago on May 21st, and the prior recommendations from this committee were approved at that meeting. Our next meeting is next week on the 20th and 21st, Thursday and Friday. We do have a meeting in July as well, but I think just in terms of the relevance for this committee with the state legislative actions that will bring the funding in some respects and decisions to a conclusion by the end of June. There's going to need to be, I think, obviously continued communication on our work as a committee for future proposals that will be coming our way, and but also just the board is going to be making the financial decisions as we kind of come around to the end of the month with all of the modifications and subsequent recommendations that will be before us. So. That is it.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. At this time, then we'll go to Dr. Armstrong for the pipeline update. The pipeline update has been shared in advance with the committee members. Dr. Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I am bringing up the update now. I always struggle with this for some reason. I think it's the move from Teams to Zoom. All right, here we go. Madam Chair, are we seeing that okay? Great, thank you. Madam Chair and committee members, I would like to provide you all with an update on our lab school pipeline. As we all know, the $75 million in lab school grant funds are required to be obligated in about 20 days on June 30th. And as we review the pipeline, I would like to note, however, that the lab school grant fund sunset does not represent the end of the agency and committee's work. We will continue to accept and review lab school applications per statute while expanding our work to support those approved lab schools that will become operational in the fall of 24 and 25. And I'll share more about that in the next presentation about our innovation networks. As of mid-May, 12 approved contracted lab schools represented about $64.5 million in obligated planning grants, startup, and operational awards, leaving about $10.5 million in the lab school grant fund. Funding awards are still pending for BOE-approved lab schools at ODU Suffolk and George Mason University Frederick as a result of action taken at the May Board of Education meeting, which Mr. Hanson referred to. Those lab schools, along with any approved as a result of today's standing committee action, will be finalized in the weeks ahead in collaboration with the Superintendent of Public Instruction and the board president. I think this is an appropriate time when we look at this graphic just to thank everyone who has been part of the work to achieve board approval of 14 lab schools in the past 11 months. I would especially like to thank the standing committee for their time, their dedication. As we learned early on from IALS, there are fewer than 200 lab schools on the planet, and the Commonwealth is slated to become home to nearly a full 10% of the lab schools in the world, representing, of course, 7 of the 8 superintendent regions here in the Commonwealth. And we will keep the committee apprised as we complete the work related to the grant fund in the weeks ahead and on our progress toward implementation of these approved lab schools. But I do want to leave that up for a moment and just see if there are any questions. I have taken this and simplified it significantly now that we are here at the end of the grant fund to reflect those lab schools that have been approved and are still currently in the pipeline.
Andy, I just want to go on record thanking you and your team for just your incredible work with each of the applicants and the recipients here, and also those that are still in the pipeline. And and I think to your point earlier, the real work is really just now beginning on the implementation and execution of these schools. So just thank you, and especially these last month or two with all the disruption. I really appreciate your leadership and that of the team.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. I couldn't do it without the support of the standing committee and everyone in the agency. This has touched every office in the agency. Everything from the planning grant review committee to finance to innovation to early childhood, instruction, accountability, exceptional education, everybody. So I do want to make sure I give all of the credit to the folks who have served as subject matter experts and have really kept the wheels turning on this. It has been quite an endeavor, and we're really excited for it. Do want to give one more note for the benefit of the committee, if you hadn't noticed this in the requirements that became part of that budget language, does require annual reporting to the governor, the House Appropriations and Senate Finance Committees on the progress of our lab schools toward full financial sustainability upon the end of our lab school grant fund spending window, which is typically 4 years. The agency and this committee, we have elevated the scrutiny of lab school sustainability, and this requirement really further underscores the scrutiny on an ongoing basis. And we'll be working to ensure that all of our lab schools, as Ms. Wadiska and I have discussed throughout the year, are standing and effective well beyond when we're part of this process. And so we look forward to keeping the governor and those committees updated on sustainability. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions on our pipeline. And I want to just thank you all for your service on behalf of the thousands of students who are going to realize opportunities that would not have otherwise been available because of the work that we have done for lab schools.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. On behalf of the committee, first, I want to thank the State Board for inviting us to be part of this incredible work. This has been a really rigorous and thorough process. The staff, you have done an amazing job, Dr. Armstrong, and I know that it's a very large team of individuals, just as you noted. Part of the process that the committee developed was intentional, that it would be thorough and wide, given the breadth of individuals that must be involved to set up the school. We knew that that would touch numerous experts at the Virginia Department of Education, and they would need to be involved in the oversight and to ensure compliance and quality for the programs. And so, Dr. Armstrong, I know that every month we say thank you, but as we're coming to the end of the fiscal year, I know that you'll express our gratitude to the entire subject matter review team, as well as the planning grant team. I know behind the scenes, it has been countless hours. I started to pull a page number, and it is in the thousands and thousands of pages that have been reviewed, written, and each of those has taken a tremendous amount of time. So it's not only yourself and Claire, Deb Love, Susan Williams, Mr. Chapman, Ms. Vineski, who's on this meeting as well. All of you have just modeled exceptional professionalism and partnership with the applicants and have just been exemplars in the collaboration that's possible between state partners and community partners. And so I want to thank you for the way that you approach the work with grace and dignity to the applicants and support for them. So thank you, and thank you for the support you've provided us.
Thank you all very much. And I do want to also just thank Dr. Coons for her support as well of all of our work. We've had to shift priorities on several different occasions around this year, and I know we have all come together to get this done. So thanks, everybody.
Well, that's an awesome report. Since you have the floor, so to speak, if you continue on item D, which is the Innovation Network, and this is the next stage of the work, which is ensuring support for the community that has been initiated here in the Commonwealth.
Yes, and you may even say that this work could potentially be even more challenging as we move forward. I'm sorry, is this presentation visible to everybody?
It's a little small.
I know. Let me see what I can do for you here.
Okay.
As I fumble through, let's do this.
That's good.
Is that better? Okay, great. Madam Chair and committee members, as mentioned in the previous presentation, while the agency continues to finalize outstanding applications and contracts on behalf of lab school applicants, our attention is simultaneously shifting and has been to the support of our school year 24 and 25 lab school implementation and growth of our Virginia Innovation Network. Support for implementation will come in the form of in-person convenings, provision of day one kits, day one ready kits for our schools, especially those coming online this fall, organization of thematic networks, on-demand support, and scheduled at least monthly calls, formalized calls with all lab schools. But of course, we remain available on an on-demand basis for everybody, and with priority, of course, for those lab schools that are coming online with students here in 2024. Currently, we anticipate 7 of our 14 approved lab schools will begin operations in the fall 2024 with students, including VCU, which is already operational, the UMW ATI Lab School, Germanna's FEA, Emory-Henry Southwest Virginia HEALS, the James Madison University Lab School for Career Exploration, George Mason Frederick's Data Science Lab School, and Roanoke College. And as the committee knows, each of these programs is unique with varying levels of direct interconnectedness with partner school divisions. Much of the work of this phase of support in the months ahead will be to provide proper guidance to ensure compliance with K-12 operational requirements as prescribed in the SOQs, which all the nuts and bolts, I think, that if you have been working in K-12, you assume these things. You don't have to think too much about them, but if you are a higher ed partner, whether private, 2-year or 4-year public, a lot of those nuts and bolts may not be readily apparent. So we're going to really lean in to ensure that all of those schools have the baseline knowledge around enrollment and finance and human resources, exceptional education, and are beginning to populate that with those schools now. So we'll be heading into that headlong in the weeks ahead. We'll convene our 2024 lab schools in the month ahead in an in-person format. We were hoping to have this done already in full transparency. However, as Mr. Hanson mentioned, we've had to do a bit of pivoting in some of our work, but we're looking forward to dedicating our attention to this in the weeks ahead. So an in-person convening, perhaps virtual, with our 2024 lab schools, followed by frequent consults and individual check-ins that lead up to the start of school. And I'm also especially excited to be there to celebrate when our lab schools kick off and to really get the word out about this work and to make a big splash on behalf of the lab schools in the media as well. This details just many of the compliance aspects of each of the phases of our support through opening. We really look at the focus areas there, as you can see right now, going into just hiring, facilities, the governing board selection. A lot of this has been done at this point, but we do want to check with everybody before the end of June to make sure we're where we need to be. And then we'll move into some of those more technical aspects around transportation, food service, DOE reporting. We're working right now to set everybody up on SWSS. I want to, again, another department, our Data Research Technology Department with Susan Williams and Carol Bazzici, who have already helped to develop that. And then phase 3 will be opening and going live, talking about media engagement, start of school requirements, attendance, and then performance evaluations and just operational fidelity for our lab schools as they really hit the ground running this fall. So as a quick overview, we'll have our day one kit finalized by the end of this month. We'll establish our weekly launch check-ins for all of these fall 2024 lab schools. We'll have our 24 lab school summit in the next month before the middle of July. And then we'll have on-site visits to everybody before the end of August, when most of these will be opening anyway. So we'll continue as well to support sustainability and activating business and industry partners, working with the Secretary's office on that as well. And then making sure we're not neglecting the needs of these 2025 lab schools who, before we know it, will be sitting here next year at the same time, and they'll be getting ready to mobilize to begin operations with students for their start in 2025. So that work will continue in the background as well. And this will be a big lift moving forward, but we will keep the standing committee updated with progress and continue to provide all the support we can to all of our lab schools.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. Any questions from committee members?
I would love to just make a couple of comments. One is that I'm really appreciative of seeing the layout of the 24-25 plan for the lab schools that have been approved and moving those forward. when I'm looking at not just being sort of day one ready, but also looking at year 5 ready, Dr. Armstrong, some things that I've been thinking about is how does this work? Not just sit inside the organizations that have come together to support these up, to get them implemented. That I also am critically interested in, how do we come away from these lab school experiences with findings and opportunities to inform changes inside the public education structure that exist in our comprehensive high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools. I had this vision the other night. I thought, wow, I would love to be able to attend a year from now a summit where the first year of the lab schools come together and run a conference for other schools in Virginia that are interested in knowing more about how do you get these kinds of programs started inside your high schools. I wouldn't expect everybody to need to get a lab school designation to do that. I would like to think the lab schools give us the data we need to suggest how do other schools begin to adopt and adapt some of the work the lab schools are doing. I also would love to see every year almost a website that is transparent, that shows kind of in a dashboard kind of model. And I know that y'all have been working on this dashboard concept. How are the lab schools progressing towards meeting their goals? And one of those being sustainability in terms of financial sustainability. How are they doing so that other schools in Virginia, in the nation, the public can all get insights into how these schools are really changing the way that we think about what's possible inside public education. So I just, I'd love to see a plan for that amidst everything else we're doing.
Well, and Dr. Moran, thank you. I'm going to take that and transcribe what you just said, because these are lab schools. They should develop practice that should serve as exemplar for what's happening across K-12. And the fact that we're leveraging resources that, again, we've talked about this before. We have public education in Virginia operates in 131 separate school divisions. The fact that we're connecting divisions, we're connecting them with higher ed resources, with business partners, it just has to be the next natural step to ensure that K-12 adapts to what the needs are in the workplace and what the needs are just for the future. I think a lot of it is going to be, just as you said, celebrating this work, publicizing it. We will need a dedicated public relations aspect to what we're doing to get the word out, to engage not just those who are already in the network of lab schools, but to engage every school division. That may be through working through established networks, through VSBA, VAS, other networks that are already have captive audiences really with K-12 divisions, to share the results of what we're doing, to share how it happens and what we can do to help them in creating this. And you hope that eventually schools, this becomes the rule rather than the exception, right? It is the way that we're operating in these lab schools. But yes, I really appreciate that question. And as soon as we can take a breath from the applications here, we're going to dedicate our work toward that next stage of really making this something that's going to be integrated into what we do every day.
And just thank you, the rest of the staff in the department. You took on something I don't think that you thought when you signed on to the job, this was going to be in your portfolio, but there is nothing that's a more important portfolio for public education than its innovation portfolio, because that's where we're going to fuel the future of learning for our young people. And I just appreciate that everyone has provided such incredible support to get these lab school applications in front of us as a committee, and then for the ones that have moved on to the state board to do the same for the board. So thank you and your team.
Thank you.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Dr. Moran has indicated. I think one of the things that's been so incredibly exciting about the work has been the R&D potential here. When we think about lab schools, when the International Association of Lab Schools came to speak with us, there were really kind of 3 legs to the stool. There was first deeper, broader options for young people. The second was very intentional professional development and innovative pre-service models for teachers. And then the third was sharing that information and the research out with the broader education community to inform the practice writ large. And so I think you'll hear a frequent refrain from us of, you know, how are we doing on those three legs of the stool, and are all three being nurtured along the way? One item that I'm just going to kind of resurface at this time that I think might be a modest step, but hopefully an easy one that could be made. You know, in Virginia, there's the Virginia Department of Education, and then we have SCHEV. And one of the things that has occurred to me through our conversations would be having more intentional connections between this work and SCHEV. And the benefit being that, you know, the higher ed institutions are the partner now in the lab schools, they are the lead partner. And as we're thinking about what we learned through this work about teacher pre-service and professional development, in-service, you know, PD, those types of things, you know, those lessons learned, those will be most applicable to our teacher colleges. And so I just wonder, and now I see Dr. Coons is on, so sorry, Dr. Coons, I didn't see you on the board earlier, otherwise I would have obviously thanked you. But that might be a nice leadership fit to make those connections. And it's not always been structurally how things work in the state. But the wonderful thing about lab schools is that it does create partnerships, opportunities to refresh conversations. And maybe this could be one of those. So if in future updates, you think about how to have those connections with SCHEV, and I know that they're going through a leadership transition, and I had worked with the old executive director, the previous executive director, and certainly would look forward to working with the new one. But Dr. Coons, I don't know, would you like to say something about that, or we can leave it with Dr. Armstrong? I don't mean to call on you unprompted, but
that's okay.
Thank you for
I think that's a good call. I know the Deputy Secretary of Education, Emily Ann Gullickson, is also on the call. So that is something we can take and talk about. She has been an amazing shepherd in this work as well. So, and working with the higher ed and behind the scenes, really making those connections, but we can definitely work on an update for this group. We'd be happy to do that.
And the new head of SCHEV worked with me in 3 different capacities previously. We're very fortunate to have him on board, and I know he's worked with John as well in the past. So.
Awesome. And Dr. Armstrong, this won't surprise you, but just for the good of the order publicly, there has been definitely some interest in lab committee members at some point, late fall, winter, going out and visiting at schools. Having worked with the school divisions, I know that the first day, first month, first 6 weeks, that is not a good time for visitors. But when the time is right and it would be beneficial, there's definite interest and curiosity and excitement to have an opportunity to go and visit some of the schools. So I'll just file that.
I will work to secure a van, and we can just make a road trip to see some lab schools. That would be wonderful.
All right, with no further discussion on item D, let's move to item E. I'll kind of bring this one up. The last time we met, currently we have meetings scheduled, ironically enough, for Labor Day in September, as well as October and November. And I certainly don't intend, as much as I enjoy working with all of you, I don't intend to meet with you on Labor Day. And I'm thinking that we may not need necessarily October or November. And so I was going to propose to the committee that maybe we should remove September and November. We would retain the October meeting. The caveat on this would be, if at any point an applicant comes forward that we need to consider, such as Norfolk State, of course, we can convene a meeting. But in terms of our published schedule of planned meetings, I thought October might be a nice time frame post start of school, so that we could receive an update from Dr. Armstrong on enrollment, how the process went, those types of things. But I did want to open this one up for discussion and get the feedback from the committee members, and then we can decide how best to proceed.
I think it makes perfect sense, and just be flexible if we do have some items pop up.
Yeah, nothing to elaborate on. I would say the same thing. Makes sense, and I know we're all flexible as situation changes as well. So that sounds good.
I would concur.
Okay, thank you for that input, committee members. Is there a motion then to update or revise our schedule to remove the September and November meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ryan was on the second. Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Any opposed indicate by stating nay. The motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll move to the discussion of current issues. Are there any other items for the good of the order to discuss today? I see no or headshakes, so I'm going to proceed. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items, Dr. Armstrong?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. All right. Without further ado, we are adjourned, and we look forward to seeing you all later this fall. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your work as chair. You have led us beautifully to today. So thank you very much for the work that you've done.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.